Good evening and welcome to Gridiron Weekly. I can see our lovely faces there just yet. Oh, there we are. Look at that. A little bit of delay. That's technology, ladies and gentlemen. Isn't it cool? I'm with my bestie, John. We're missing Bill. Bill has a prior engagement. He is, I think he's changing the ice at the UPG Paints Arena for the Flyers and Penguins game. I think he's on the Zamboni waving as we speak right now. But as always, we're back at our regular time slot, which is awesome. You know, we might change it up next year. We're thinking about going early, 7 o'clock, maybe Tuesday, you know, just to get us a better feel. Because every time we do this on a Thursday, we come right up against the game. You know, we're happy to do it half out of it because it's 8 o'clock, the game's already going. So we're going to discuss in the off season, but we're going to get started right away. So we always start off with college football. So we're going to start off with college football. We have the game coming up, and we have the Big Ten versus the ACC. I like it for the ACC. Growing up, Jefferson Pilot Sports grew up with the ACC. You know, and this year they just dogged the ACC every chance they got. And it's going to be an ACC Big Ten showdown. John's a Big Ten guy. So, John, do me a favor. Just talk to me about what you saw or what you see in Indiana that is just, you know, that you know, convinces you that it's going to be, you know, it's going to be a tough game for our friends down in Miami. I think the spread is, hold on, did the spread change at all?
It's like 8.5?
It's 8.5 now.
You know,
that's 2 points. It's huge.
You know, Indiana's something because when I watch, and you try to, I know everything isn't about the NFL, obviously, because you can be great in college. NFL doesn't translate. But I even look at like possible guys that are going to get drafted and stuff, all that kind of stuff. Indiana really, it's Cignetti, right? It feels like he is like I don't know how to put this. Like he's the guy that is, I mean, I know Mendoza's there. But it's like him that has built that into what you want. Like it's a real team. You don't really know. You just talk to people. Anybody that even not just the casual fan, even some of the people that I know watch, they don't know a lot of Indiana players other than Mendoza. But you will know some of the Miami guys. You know, those defensive ends, you know, even Tony, that Malachi Tony kid, he looks incredible. To me, whenever he can get to the NFL, it isn't soon enough with his speed and what he can do. Carson Beck, of course. But think about it, Indiana's just a well-coached group of guys, and they are powerful and they're tough and they play strong. I gotta say though, man, there is something about this game that makes me think that Miami is going to keep. This isn't going to be a bad one. Like they could. I think they have a punt. Like I think they got what he called a puncher's chance, right? I really do. I think Miami does have the speed that they have on defense. I saw what it did to Ohio State. Those defensive ends are a pain. What's it? That Bain and I'm going to forget his other name. The other guy, Mesdor. Those guys are really disruptive, man. And I don't know. Ohio State wasn't as good as that defense was. I thought Ohio State was the best defense in football. I really did. And watching Miami,
they had the numbers to prove it too.
And then you look at schedule and all that. So it meant something. Because Miami's defense, and that's cool. It'll be something Indiana hasn't seen. I don't know, man. It's funny. You were talking about the
let me tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
A little bit more. It's really hard to read him. What is he like? Do you think in the locker room? I mean, how is he getting? How does he get these guys? You know, how does he prevent the disease of me of taking over? How? I mean, we know what his media personality is. It's a little quirky, a little, you know, cocky.
Yeah.
But what is he in the locker room? I haven't heard anybody talk about him in the locker room. Have you?
No. I mean, his sidelines, he looks the same, right? At all times. He's got that same. It's the football coach I remember kind of growing up with, though. He's got that same look. Nothing can satisfy him. And I think someone said that, didn't they? Just recently, I think, or was that about Cristobal? Now I'm confused. It might have been Cignetti. Was it Chris? Okay. But he appears to be one of those guys that you couldn't satisfy no matter what's happening.
But it's amazing to me that he's able to have this kind of success. I mean, you could see it at IUP, obviously. He went to Alabama, and then he went to James Madison. He turned James Madison into a juggernaut. They were right up there with the Dakotas and all the other people in Montana and, you know, North and South Dakota. So you saw it there, and he did poach James Madison. Even though JMU went to Oregon and got, you know, whooped for a little bit, a lot of those touchdowns scored against Oregon were JMU players.
Right.
Surratt and Black, the running back. So, I mean, I just don't. I'm as curious as you are because you don't see this in sports, especially in college athletics in this day and age with NIL. he's prevented the disease of me of ruining us. And I don't know how he's done it. His players are not, they'll hit to the whistle, but they're not like overly. They don't make those boneheaded plays. How does he do it? I really want to know.
And there's something about maybe there's something about being in Indiana because, obviously how bad for their entire existence they've never been a football. I don't even remember the numbers, but we know that they've never been a football school.
Yeah.
So there's something about they even at undefeated, they feel like the under. I think he does play the underdog really well. He's must with them. Like it is us against everyone.
It is amazing though because I don't know. I don't even know what to think of Indiana, even though they're undefeated, number one in the country. 15-0. They could be the first 16-0 team since they were playing like bizarre games and stuff back in the day. But I don't know what to think of them. I really don't. Do they get in that game and they realize they're playing, the U, all the mystique that comes with that, and all the the championships they had? Did they fall for that? Do you think at all?
I don't know, man. They've already beat Ohio State. They got Alabama was at a beating. I mean, and there's some mystique coming with them, of course. I don't think anything.
It's in Miami. It's a home game for them. It's going to be packed with Miami fans. They're not going to have the advantage they had against Oregon. They're just not going to. I mean, Oregon doesn't travel, but Miami is going to pack that stadium. They're going to have Michael. They're going to have all those ghostly stars on the sideline. The Irvins, the Calais Campbell. They're going to have, all those players are going to be on the sideline. I just don't know. I'm with you. I don't know that it's going to be a blowout, and I don't know what happens in Indiana if you get up on them quick. Say it's reversed from last week. Say first quarter it's 21-7 Miami. What does Indiana do? They're not a quick strike offense, right? They don't have the Malachi Tonys of the world. And then what are they going to do if Miami gets the lead? Miami can hold the ball because they can run the heck out of the ball. They'll run their quarterback. They'll run those huge backs. So that's what I want to see. Can Indiana survive some sort of mishap or some sort of that they're not expecting to do? Like if he throws a pick six against Miami. The place is going to go berserk. First of all, I'm with you. I don't know. We'll pick here at the bottom of the hour, but I don't know. I don't know what else that Indiana has because their matchups have been ideal for them. They just have every way they have. I think Ohio State. For me, when I looked at Ohio State, they lack speed on defense. And that was exposed in both the championship game, the Big Ten championship game, and against Miami. They just don't have the speed they need. And their offense was way too predictable.
Right.
So I think, and that was the difference in the game in both games. They knew exactly what was coming. But, as far as Ohio State, I mean, they would deserve to be up there. I mean, they're going to send 57,000 people to the NFL again, right? So it's going to be go ahead.
In Miami, though, they are so fast on defense. The two defensive ends. I mean, that was the first time I watched Ohio State. Because even when they lost to Indiana, it was still a slugfest. It was still a bad. That was not like how they got beat by Miami. Miami made them. They're the team that made them look slow. They were the ones. They did it. Because I hadn't seen that all year until that game. To me, that right there told me, Jesus, Miami. They really there's a different level. And Indiana hasn't seen it because Indiana hasn't had to deal with it. I mean, the Big Ten, as much as I love it, I mean, once Penn State, faltered and once Oregon was kind of, whatever with them. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really have I didn't think the Big Ten was as strong. And then Michigan's not good. I mean, so you only had Ohio State, Indiana, and I don't know, man. I mean,
really just Indiana. It proved really just Indiana was the class. For me, it's always been referred to as the Big Slow 10, right? Mm-hmm. They always lack speed. Great linemen on both sides of the ball, but they lack that high-end elite speed. I think Miami has that. I mean, like you were saying earlier, that Malachi Toney, a freshman who shouldn't even be there. He should be a senior in high school. First of all, he graduates high school in 3 years, which is incredible. And then enters college. The second semester, which would have been his, second semester of junior year. He's second semester of college. He's in college already. So I think that's going to be an issue, and I don't think Miami worries too much about going down because it's happened to them before, and they've learned so much. I mean, what on Miami? I mean, the lines for me. I mean, the two lines are just Miami has just big dudes everywhere.
Yeah, I know. On this show, I don't usually care. What I say doesn't really make a difference. But I know way back when I thought those were the two best things in college football was their offense and defensive lines. And I tried to hold to that even as things were going to hell for them and during the season, when they were losing games. It didn't make sense to me. And you know what? And I kept on. Cristobal did a great job too. Let me say that about him, because I used to put him in the same category as Franklin and some of the others.
Correct.
Well, I think he's taken himself out of it because he won big games. And there's something about him that I could see why players. He's held that. Think about, you talk about like what Signetti has done too, and you're absolutely right about not getting that the selfishness. He's done a hell of a job at Miami too, because there's guys here that are just, Bain and the other defensive end could play right now in the NFL. Let me have them this week for the Bears against the Rams. I'll take them too. And,
Bain
you know what
you're absolutely right, and that's an excellent point too. Even down there with all the circus that is the U, he's kept those players in check. I mean, you don't hear about them off the field at all. You hear about everyone else. George is a mess off the field, right? They've had so many players, arrested and in legal trouble for since Kirby. I mean, it's 1 or 2 a year. It's ridiculous. But again, you're right. Cristobal's done a wonderful job. And then, I just pulled up their offensive line. I mean, these cats, you're talking, Bell is the big number 70. He's 6'9", 340. I mean, he's 340, 350, 340, 315, 330, 300. I mean, 350. These are just massive human beings.
6'9". Yeah, that's insane.
I mean, and they got a guy from your neck of the woods, Francavilla, 55, from Toronto, Canada. I mean, and here's, as you look at their roster, it's littered with Florida. They're defending their territory. You have Miami, St. John's, Florida. You have Cape Coral. You have Orlando, another Miami, Orlando, Sanford, Florida. I mean, they're defending their backyard. Jupiter, Florida. That's another thing. Hollywood, Florida, Miami, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Miami. I mean, if you're able to defend that, high school football down there in Tampa, Winter Garden. I mean, high school football down there, it's a different beast. It truly is. And if you're able to defend and keep that talent, I mean, good on you, because that's what it is. And the defense, is the same way. All right, so we're gonna go back to Indiana real quick. Where is Indiana most vulnerable, in your opinion?
It's a great question. Most vulnerable to me would be in this game. It'll be totally exactly how Ohio State how it went with them. It's going to be, can the big guys in my mind, Indiana's offensive line handle Miami? The pressure, they get it with 4. They'll get it with those 2 ends. If they can, and I have yet to see Mendoza really under pressure, right? We haven't really seen him under pressure.
So we haven't seen in the one game, the Big Ten championship, took that massive hit at the beginning. That was it.
That was it. And and then they played that game, that Big Ten championship was in Indiana. So you're going to have this game in Miami. I think it's huge that they're, like you said, let something happen early. You said intangibles. We were talking earlier off show. I remember you were saying about the intangibles Miami might have, that type of stuff. I think that's the type of stuff that I'm thinking of. That crowd, the place is packed. Everything is going to be against Indiana. And I think Indiana feeds off that, as I said earlier, being us against everyone, because, we're the Hoosiers. We should be playing basketball. Sure. Here we are, number 1 in the country. But I think it's the speed. I don't think they just don't have this. Even Sarah, I like the wide receiver, Elijah Sarah. He's Surratt, him, whatever. I don't know, though. He doesn't match the speed of Miami. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to tell you right now, man, this line of 8.5 is a little, I think it's, we're going to make the pick, but that's a little high.
Yeah, well, Cameron, you said it started at 10.5, right?
Yeah, I saw 10.5 a while ago, yeah. I wish I'd have got 10.5. Yeah.
I think your point is I think that if that Indiana's defense, right, if they don't get pressure with 4, they don't have the back end speed. They don't. Yep. They don't have players that can fly. They've got really good football players, but they don't have speed. If they're not able to get to Beck, who by the way is as seasoned as any stake you would want, him and Mendoza. Yeah. So they both they both protect the ball. They both make decisions, process quickly. I think that's kind of, for me, that's a wash. But if they're not getting pressure, their linebackers are not fast and their DBs are not fast. Right. And if Miami gets those wide receivers running crazy, number 8, the heck's his name? Number 8, I forgot already. Where is he? Where is he?
I can't remember.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Keelan Marion, number 0, and you pair him with Malachi Tony. If those guys start, and then you have Upshaw, who's big. If those guys start, doing it, and Joshua Moore, I forgot, 6'4". So if those guys start running wild, man, look out, because they don't have that back end speed to help them. And conversely, Miami's going to try to throw Messidor and Bain at them. They're both almost the exact same size. They're both 6'3", one's 275, one's 280, but they run well. But the reason they didn't have that much pressure against Ole Miss, they got tired, because of so many snaps. So, can Miami use their ball control offense and their defense to turn them over and seize control of the game? Because I don't think Indiana's seen anything like this. Even I know Otson Field is very hard to play in. Everybody says it, and they have the home record to support that. But you haven't gone to the U, right? I mean, this is like big time, and I think it's an advantage for them. When even though they're not playing, but you look over that sideline, you see Ray Lewis, you see all their players. I guarantee there's going to be even more there, right? With what's going on. If you see all that, you could easily get caught in that ridiculous mystique that they've created over the years. You're going to see Clinton Portis. You're going to see all these guys, and you're like, oh, my goodness. Edger and James, they're all going to come out of the woodworks. So I think that's really, for me, that's one of the disadvantages that Indiana has. But, on the what if Miami throws everything at them and Indiana survives it? Then what?
Yeah, well, this is where they're gonna like, they're 15-0 or whatever they are.
Yeah, 15.
And they'll earn this national championship. I'll say that. In this game here, if they can go into Miami and beat Miami, they've already beat Alabama. They beat Ohio State. I mean, they're beating everybody you need to beat, allegedly, that are, and then Miami with Carson Beck, who's seen it all. He's a ninth year, whatever he is. And then all them guys, I wouldn't, but this is why Signetti, like I said last week, if this guy stays in Indiana, he does this, he will end up being one of the greatest coaches in that I recall, because he will have taken this program and stays with them and wins a national title. I mean, I can't stand him, man, but he's forcing me to like him. He truly is.
And it has to go down as one of the greatest seasons of all time, right? I mean, to beat all those names, and then have an undefeated 16-0 season, got to be one of the greatest seasons of all time.
Just an amazing. You go to Ohio State.
How good does Indiana look for extending them, right?
Oh my God, yeah, right. No, they are. I'd never in a million years, right? Just think back 10 years ago, even 5 years, thinking of Indiana. They showed them in the Copper Bowl or something years ago. They showed the footage from the 90s. It's.
And they produced a couple quarterbacks. They have, Trent Green, one of the, Jeff George, Trent Green, two pretty darn good quarterbacks, out of there. But that's kind of it. I mean, they don't really produce that much of anybody else. So it's going to be super interesting, and I just, you focus on that, and I don't know that they have that much on that defensive line. I'll pull it up here in a second, but for Indiana, I mean, they had such incredible starts in their 2 games. They really did.
Yeah.
And that helped out a lot. I mean, the way they jumped on Oregon just was a mistake after mistake after mistake. Right? Yeah. They throw the pick 6. Dante Moore comes back, good on him, and goes right down the field, and they're able to, tie the game. And then they have all that. They get a stop, and they have all that crap with the mesh point and this and that. So it's going to be that's going to be interesting to watch. I'm in the midst of pulling up their defensive line. And the other point, an incredibly salient point you made with the fact of the NFL draft, right? Miami's got, good Lord, so many names that are going to go. And Indiana they just got football players, man. They just got ballers that want to play football. I mean, Tristan Abram, he's okay. I mean, they're just football players. That's pretty much what they are, right?
Yeah.
Stephen Daly was the one they were missing the last game, correct? The defensive lineman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he'll be healthy. So that's a boost to them, because he's smaller but quicker, 6'1", 260, and he's quicker. He's quicker. But other than that, you're right. I mean, their linebackers are okay. The best linebacker they got from James Madison, and then they have Kamara, who's good, and that
Yeah.
Mario Landino is pretty good too. He's always in there doing stuff. Everybody else takes the cake, but he's always in there. Nose to the grind and doing what works. But on the back end, the DBs, I don't know, man. I don't know if they're that fast.
Yeah, I don't either, because even with Ohio State, when you think about it, they never had to. I don't know what happened there, but he said it was too predictable, and that would be Ryan Day's issue because he was calling the plays. Jeremiah Smith, you really didn't get to see much of it, and Tate. You know what I mean? It was just really.
They ran a complex zone, with blitz packages off that zone, and they just put the cap on the offense. They just really did. He could never get free. You look, Miami made that mistake with letting him get free a couple times, and he burned him, right?
Yeah.
On those deep plays. I don't think, so that's the other thing, they're not a quick strike offense, but I don't think Miami can do that with the way they played that defense either. Malachi Tony is immensely talented, but they still have to have, zones and areas to run through. Even if you do a complex, lateral and vertical routes, they do a good job on that zone. I mean, they're just football players. That's what it comes back to. What you said, they're just football players that the guy is able to get them all to buy in. Now, the question I have, it was repeatable, and in every place he went. IUP was repeatable. James Madison is repeatable. What do they do next year? What do you think?
I know. That's a great question.
The roster they got his brother,
right? And did they get someone out of the portal or something?
Somebody agreed to go there. I can't remember who it is.
I can't.
They have a freshman, Mendoza. And they had another freshman out of Indianapolis who's tiny, and Naperville, Illinois. They got a junior.
There's got to be someone coming, because there's got to be someone in the portal coming for next year with these guys.
Don't you think?
It's got to happen. Yeah, because I can't imagine that Mendoza's brother not ready. Someone's got to be coming, because I don't imagine. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, it's a great question. Next year, I don't even think about next year with Indiana, because I'm getting to the point with the way Cignetti is that I'm just assuming put anything on the field, he'll coach it and they'll do well. I don't.
Oh, I know who they got. I just looked it up. They got TCU's quarterback, Josh Hoover.
There you go. They're
going to reload again, for the love of God.
Yeah. You have to.
He's created a place where people want to go. Right?
That's amazing, and that's incredible.
Freaking Bloomington, Indiana.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. Literally nothing. The only reason I know about it because we have a base there, Camp Atterbury, that we go to a lot. Which is not a great place to go, south of Indianapolis. But there's really nothing there, and he's made it a destination, which is again amazing, right? So for next year.
The minute he said the whole Google Me thing, that
was guts, man.
And that was necessary, I guess, now that I think about it, because you are Indiana. Why not? You might as well. If you're going to, what's the difference? If you're going to fail, I mean, you might as well go down swinging with Indiana. And he knew it. And that's the thing about this guy. I hate to keep singing the praises of him, but everything that he does is what you'd want everywhere. I'd want him as my NFL head coach. You'd want him at any level. You'd want him to be the head coach. I'm surprised an NFL team didn't try to see what they could do.
Well, they're not immune to a buyout either, right?
Right.
I mean, they still got to do something with that massive $93 million that he's owed, which would be,
he's not going anywhere. I truly believe he might be a guy who stays there. He may never leave. It feels like to me.
I mean, why would you? You've got command of the program. You have national media there all the time now. You're getting recruits. You're getting portal recruits. I mean, obviously the university is giving you money, right? Or else you wouldn't be able to afford that. So it's just who's going to outspend who is what it's going to be. Hey, did the Big Ten do anything as far as scheduling, like the ACC did, and the other conferences where like the SEC, you're going to have to play everybody now? Did they do anything like that?
I thought I heard that on the radio just the other day. I don't think they have yet, but I feel like they're going to. I would think they would. They're going to, but I'm not.
I would assume.
Yeah, I swear I just heard them talking about that, but they haven't yet. I think that was the whole thing on the radio show I was listening to. But the Big Ten hasn't done that yet. But I think.
I mean,
they should.
it would even it out because
Yeah.
you look at I don't like I don't like the blow off games, especially week 1 week before the season ends. Week 11. The college.
Right.
I don't like that where you play Abilene Christian or some other north, south, east, or west, some directional school. For me, that's not football. And Alabama is guilty of it all the time.
Yeah.
They this patty cake they do. And Notre Dame, they've got to do something too. They have to join a conference. No ifs, ands, or buts. Have to join a conference.
Exactly, because if they don't, this keeps happening. This will always happen to them. I mean, I don't know how they can. You just and
go to the the ACC, PC, and just dominate. Why not?
Yeah, go to the ACC.
Still keeps your rivalries. Stanford, they play them every year. They play Pitt every year. They do the Catholics or the convicts for Florida State and Miami. They can play the North Carolinas of the world. I just think they should do it. And I think they're not looking at the bigger picture.
I wanted them always in the Big Ten. I've always wanted to see them play in the Big Ten. I can never understand. I mean, it's perfect. But now you're right, though. I mean, you got all those rivalries there. So you could just go in there easily into the ACC. They're in there for basketball, I believe. So
and soccer and lacrosse, and they win all those. Most of the sports they're in there for.
And then you help the ACC out, even though it shouldn't need much. It's got Miami, it's got Clemson, it's got enough. It's got enough big names schools in there. But that would just it makes so much sense to have them. They just won't do it, but it just makes too much sense.
And then because they're most sports are obsessed with even numbers, which makes sense. I would go after West Virginia, right?
Yeah,
regionally situated. Bring back the full time, the backyard brawl. And just that's what I would go with, just because it does make sense, and then you're really competing, and you're able to still maintain a Power Four. Because quite frankly, I don't know about you, but if Miami had flamed out against Texas A&M and got blown away, I'd be hard pressed to keep the ACC as a power conference.
I know. Especially with the ACC championship game and everything. No, I know.
Yeah, I know that with Duke and Virginia. That goofy freaking whatever they have there, and had Notre Dame gone in there, they would only have one loss in the ACC to Miami, so they would have been in the championship game, right?
Yeah, they got it. I don't know how they don't. Well, I know why, but I mean, you would think as far as it goes with making this playoff, it'll always be an issue because they don't play a final. They don't have a championship game. And again, though, they don't have much to complain. They lost to Miami. If they'd have won that game, it was a good game, I remember. But that was it. I mean, I don't know if Notre Dame, though. Here's the thing. Notre Dame, now looking at it, and it's hindsight and everything, Notre Dame really isn't better than Miami, though. Because Notre Dame doesn't have this type of speed. They don't have what makes Miami special to me is the defensive ends. They really do. That's what makes them special all around. Malachi Toney, I'm going to say this too. Him on special teams is electric. It's really good to watch.
Oh yeah. You miss one tackle, the kid's gone.
And gosh, I can see that happen.
About it is he's a hell of a blocker as a freshman. I mean, he goes right down the line. He takes on any defensive end. Obviously, he has the leverage somewhat because they're focusing, on other things. But the kid is not, and he's in every game, and there he is at the end of the game. Who's he with? He's with his mother, his mom.
Right.
Yeah. So again, a class act. He's just found some really good, classy guys, and good for them. Everybody was tired of the stupid U and all their nonsense. But
And you know who else really changed himself and almost becomes likable and all that is Carson Beck. I mean, the way he has become. I mean, you almost root for him where I didn't in the past for Georgia.
Yeah.
But
I mean, no doubt about it. It's an incredible redemption story.
Yeah,
what he did to get his elbow back in shape. All right, we are at the bottom of the hour.
Okay,
it's time to switch. So Bill didn't send his pick. So for Bill, I'm going to pick for him, and I'm going to take Miami plus the points because I think it's going to be closer, and I think Miami can give them a game. And of course, I could be horribly wrong when they fumble the ball twice and it's 14-0. They can never come back. But I'm going with Miami the points. What do you say, John?
Yeah, I'm taking Miami the points, and I'm thinking that if Miami can win this game, if they can get that special teams touchdown, or they can cause some kind of some chaos. But I like the speed of Miami. I got to take the 8.5. I wish I'd have got on it at 10.5, but 8.5 is great.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is obviously we're going to break down the game next week. But after that, we're going to have, hopefully we'll switch our time after that,
Yeah.
switch it to Tuesdays. And the offseason will look very easy. We'll talk the first week. We're going to talk about all the transfers and then transfer windows, who won, who lost, something like that. And then we are going to this year, like we did last year, we're going to pick a group, of players, safeties, DBs, linebackers, defensive line, and we're going to do all before the draft, and we're going to do our mock drafting. So now we're moving on to the big boys, the NFL. I don't think that they could, if they tried to, if everyone thinks it's fake and they tried to script it, they could not have got a better wild card weekend. Every game, with the exception of two, so it isn't every game. 2 games were a blowout, but the other ones were fantastic one-score games. Yeah. So we're going to start. We'll start really quick. You take the Bills from last week.
Well,
you take the Bills.
Boy, that was a good one. That was one of the best.
I'm sorry. I was out of order. Sorry. We'll do Rams and Panthers. I'll take the Panthers. You take the Rams. Go for it.
All right, man. The Rams. Well, I mean, that was much closer than I ever expected to see. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be close at all, and it was a great game. For some reason, it looked like, I don't know what it was with it. Stafford didn't seem to be. They weren't in sync, really. There was something going, they still win the game, so they're fine. But they just didn't look in sync, right? Puka Nacua, the ball goes off his mask. He's like he didn't see it coming. There was a lot of weird things. But ultimately, I mean, Jared Verse, that's a great. They're probably the best. They're probably the best team. I mean, in the NFC. So I mean, they did what they had to do. It was closer than I thought. There's not much for me to think about them, man. They're the most balanced, right? They're the best team on both sides. So, and the Panthers, I give them credit. They held their ground. They almost won the game. They really could have, if things could have been a bounce here or there.
Yeah, and I agree with you with the Rams. They do look very balanced. They had some issues with his hand, but it's all better now. But the Panthers, you're right. Panthers went down. Unthinkable for Puka to drop. You're absolutely right. He did not expect that, did not judge it well because he couldn't believe the ball was there. And that's a whole – you're 17-14. You make that – that goes 24-14. That game is in the bag. Yeah. Now you're resting for the next thing. But the Panthers overall, despite the losing record, I think that they did pick up Bryce Young's option, which was 26 point something, wasn't huge. But that's a good deal for a team. The kid had success. He's learning the offense, provided there's no massive changes like their coordinator leaves and goes here or there. I think they have stuff to build on in a winnable division. In an absolutely winnable division, right?
Yeah.
So good on them for what they did. And they have Ted McMillan, they have running backs Dowdell, and what's the kid from Oklahoma State, the Canadian.
Hubbard.
Hubbard. They do a good job. They really do.
Mm-hmm.
They're solid on special teams. Their defense is extremely young. This is a team next year that's going to have bigger expectations. Instead of 8-9, they're going to have somewhere. They should be fighting Tampa all year for the division. And then you look at New Orleans. New Orleans put together 6 wins, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Exactly. Great coach. The quarterback looks good, But I thought the Panthers did well, showed themselves, tremendously well. But the Rams probably are the most balanced right now. All right, let's go to move to our next one. I'll take the Packers and you do the Bears. The Packers are a mess. They just are. Again, another team far too bad. I don't know what to make of Jordan Love. When he plays and he's healthy, he's good. He is good. He is very good almost. But the guy can just not stay healthy. He cannot stay healthy. It's a hamstring. It's a this. Which I hated for him because he looks like he's a legitimate quarterback. He really does. They have issues. They're again missing their stud. When he's in there, forget it.
Right, it's a different story. Yeah,
it is. It's and he just kind of walks around like a. Like a tiger, tracking the prey. He really does. And Mike is that good. He is.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And shame on them for not having, adequate, depth for that position. But it's tough. I mean, because he's really good. And they go next year. They don't have a first-round pick.
Right.
But you do have Micah Parsons, which is something to be said. But you don't have that first-round pick. And they have wide receivers out the wazoo, and they're the youngest team in the NFL. So they could probably keep themselves competitive for a couple of years. If the cards play right, maybe they add an aging veteran here and there. Maybe they go and get, maybe Pittsburgh gives them Cam Hayward in the middle, something akin to that.
Right.
Maybe they do that. But in the game, I think LaFleur got thoroughly outcoached. thoroughly outcoached. And they the key to that was the dink and dunk, right? As a Bears fan, the linebackers and DBs aren't the strongest, right?
Right.
And they have so many friggin' injuries, right? Both of the what's his name was coming off an injury. The number 6 he was still injured. Yeah. So there's and they just didn't take advantage of that, in my opinion. I mean, I would have kept the dink and dunk, except they tried, because the biggest adjustment the Bears made at halftime is they shut down the run. Which shut down, and you're getting 1 yard on a run. And I know offense coordinators and coaches say, I don't care if you get 1 yard, keep doing it. But I think they should have pivoted and gone to the bubble screens, the quick slants, and stuff akin to that, because it didn't do them any good to try to run the ball. They got dominated by the Bears. I mean, it was not even close. The energy in that stadium that carried the Bears to victory was something like I've not seen that in a while. It reminds me of the old days of the Bears, where you had Peanut Tillman and you had Urlacher in those games they had that 1 year where they had like 2 or 3 games where they won on a pick six. Remember that?
Yep.
That
was
year?
the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And it was incredible to watch. The juice and the electricity was amazing. But go ahead. I'll let you keep going with the Bears.
Well, they just, first half to second half, this has been going on, and it can't go on this week, but we'll get to that. They have yet to play 4 quarters. I mean, it always ends up being the second half Bears are better than the first half Bears. I will say this: beating the Packers as a Bears fan, whatever happens this week is just the icing on the cake. Oh, yeah. They've showed themselves well, kind of like Carolina. They've showed themselves. They did a good job. You think you got a quarterback now. He does look like he can play, and he does look like he certainly doesn't shrink in big moments. He can. No. God, he's got a lot to do, and you just talked about Johnson. You hear what he says. He's got that completion percentage has got to go up. Things got to get better there. But I don't know, man. I don't even know what to say. I've never seen anything like it. You are right. It reminds me of that year when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to Peyton Manning. It's the same. Yeah. It's very similar. But the second half. The funny thing is, even at the point where Golden does the play you're talking about, a little screen past him, and he scores. With about 6 minutes left, that should have ended the game. That really double
digits.
Yep, and they missed the extra point. They missed some field goals, and
McManus.
I mean, the Bears aren't even running the ball well. That's the other thing that I've noticed the last 3 weeks. They haven't been able to run the ball really well. And
the thing is, you have 2 solid backs too, which is weird.
Yeah, they're having a hard time running the ball. I don't know, man. It feels like this week might be the time's up on them, but it's hard to say because you watch this and Ben Johnson has them almost in a Signetti-like way believing that they're.
How could you not? He did it 6 times this year.
Yeah, over and over and over. It's the same thing. So
I mean, that's the way to go. All right, let's go. We'll move on now. You live in Buffalo. I'll let you take the Bills, and I'll take the Jags. I'll go first. Some Jags.
Okay.
Jags showed themselves very well. I mean, I don't think I don't know about you. I don't think Travis Hunter is a difference maker. I just don't.
Not yet. Yeah.
I don't know. What's the guy really going to do except for really silly little trick plays every once in a while on defense? It's not like he's a lockdown corner or anything. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I think the Jaguars did well. They have the talent. I think Lawrence is finally coming into his own, and this should be a cautionary tale to teams that take quarterbacks in this upcoming draft. Some quarterbacks take longer, i.e. Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence. They take longer to mature, right? Yeah. CJ Stroud didn't take long, although he had a terrible game, but we'll get to that. But I thought they did well. I think their future is bright. I think they're in a very competitive division, though, depending on what Indianapolis does with the quarterback position. But Jacksonville, overall, they showed Duval, they showed him proud. Go ahead.
Yeah, and Liam Cohen should be possibly coach of the year. I mean, what he's done with Trevor Lawrence and that whole thing. I mean, they got to be proud. They just got to admit now, much like we just talked about the Bears, they got to build on this next year. You can't take a step back. Got to keep, putting layers on it and go forward. As far as the Bills go, Josh Allen's just he's the reason they win. I don't care what happens, when it happens, or whatever goes on. He's the sole reason the team wins. I mean, their defense is a little better, though. I will say they deserve a little break because the national media, I don't think, realizes in the last since week 12, they've done a lot better job stopping the run. And they haven't been half bad. Their defense hasn't been half bad. So that's not a big of a liability as people like to say it is I think they think back to weeks 1 through 6. So the defense hasn't been bad, and Allen is a machine. I mean, he got hurt 3 times in that game, and he just, as long as he's standing up, they have a chance to win any game they're in. So
I agree. It's amazing. All right, we'll move on. You start. Take the 49ers.
Boy, you know, there's another guy who could be coach of the year. I don't know how they do it. The Eagles should be. The 49ers. I got to imagine that their time is up this week, but winning that game was a huge win for all the injuries they have and everything else. I mean, they're riddled, and McCaffrey's unreal. I think he should be MVP. I really think without him, they're in trouble.
And 500 touches.
He's unreal. Yeah, and I can't believe he stayed healthy
the whole year.
That's a miracle.
But good on them. That's what happens when you get an entire year off to heal, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens. He healed for an entire year.
Yeah. Right.
Got healthy, and you could see the guys. I mean, he dominated that game. Absolutely dominated it.
And I just don't know what else to say, man. That team shouldn't have gone to Philadelphia and won.
No,
they just shouldn't have.
Philly's a hot mess. They really are. I mean, I'll say they're just a hot mess. You can't. I don't care what you say about heat of the moment. Blah 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 blah. You cannot have players and coaches going at it after each other. You can't do it. That's not a winning philosophy. And he has so many personal issues, Sirianni.
Yeah.
You know, and you just can't have that. And Jalen Hurts, you know, their running game didn't work. Obviously, it didn't work, right? Because Saquon was just average. Although toward the end, he was putting some together, but they lost too many players. You know, you lose too many players off your line, and that was the problem with them. You know, you lose Mekhi Becton, who was terrible as a tackle, but an unbelievable guard, right? Which I think that, you know. But anyway, I think they're a hot mess, and they have lots of cap issues. The last year of his contract, Jalen Hurts is like, you know, $80-some million or something. It's ridiculous. So, but yeah. Anyway, all right. Chargers, Patriots. I'll take Chargers. You take Patriots. I'll go first this time. Chargers cannot stay healthy. Nope. I mean, you lose 2 All-Pro tackles, and that's the difference. Herbert it's a shame because the guy's incredibly talented. Throws one of the most beautiful balls that I can see somebody throwing a football. You know, and it's a shame because he's, you know, Harbaugh, they fired a bunch of people, but they have to somehow stay healthy. Have to. And if they stay healthy, they got a bright future. But in this game, they could not. First of all, they couldn't get out of their way. You know, they just couldn't do anything at all. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, that was basically about it. You're right. I mean, Patriots got a nice break of a game. I mean, it wasn't a tough one for them at all. They were able to, you know, and you get that feeling of playoff football for the quarterback and stuff. And it wasn't a great game at all. It wasn't very exciting. It was a horrible game. I feel bad for Herbert too. I mean, a little bit on the Chargers real quick. I know they got guys, the offensive line was riddled and everything else. I hope Harbaugh can fix it because it would be nice. Because that guy's going to go down as one of the. He won't even be it won't even be like the Dan Marino thing. It'll be even more disappointing, unfortunately. So, I mean, New England almost had a bye, kind of.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
which was amazing that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll finish it up. You go first. You take the Texans, and I'll take the city that I reside in. Go ahead.
Okay. The Texans again, and that was almost by like, you know, it was a terrible game. The Steelers are, I mean, I don't know. I'm still not a big CJ Stroud. I have a feeling there's something isn't right with him. I'm not a big fan. I'm going to say it right now. And I'm an Ohio State guy. I'm just not a big fan. He looks confused. He always looks confused to me. He just, I don't know what it is. They don't have a running game. They don't have much on offense. So I don't know where they go next. I don't know what happens this next round. We'll talk about it. But I mean,
especially with the injuries.
All right, they beat the Steelers, and I don't know if the Steelers probably should have been there. So
exactly, everything you said is accurate. The Steelers were an absolute embarrassment, and if you, they were just an embarrassment. Tomlin needed to go 4 or 5 years ago, and he didn't. So that would have been much better had he did. You know, there's a bunch of rumors of what happened. I mean, he was due to be not reprimanded, but they were going to change all the coordinators, and he was not down with that. So he just, you know, took a bow and bowed out. And again, you know, he has all the records they love to spout out. He now has is tied with Cincinnati with the 7 consecutive losses. He also has his own record, 5 playoff losses by greater than 21 points. Nobody else is close to him. So he has all that stuff going on. Pittsburgh is an absolute dumpster fire. They have no idea where they're going. Go ahead.
You know what I'd always like to have asked someone? What in the world? And I've said this and it always confuses me. I say it constantly. What did you think getting Aaron Rodgers, though? Like, right. It's very tough. It's one thing when the players or the coaches or the fans think, gosh, we're close. We can win a Super Bowl. It's disturbing to me when the management thinks that. Because why do you bring an Aaron Rodgers in? Like, there was no reason for him to be in Pittsburgh this year.
Yeah.
It was kind of I never understood it, man.
Yeah. And they have and they went even further on his first round picks. He has a hit rate of less than 9% in the first round. Yeah. And the league average is 44. He's at 8.4, something like that, 8.9, something like that. And he doesn't develop anybody. He can't develop anybody. He took a lot of players. I would have championed if the Steelers defense was, say, 4 years younger. You had a 32-year-old Cam, 28-year-old Watt, and you brought in Rodgers. That's a success, right? Because he was average, and that's all you had to be if the defense was younger, But the defense was very old. It showed itself over and over and over again. To me, no idea where they go. They're the odds-on favorite in Vegas is the Don Shula's Chris Shula, Don Shula's grandson, but he's a defensive coach. 13 out of the last 14 Super Bowls have been won by an offensive coach. The league is passing the Steelers by. You cannot win with the defense, especially when the defense is old. Their defense is very old, and they're just old and creaky, and no way you can hide that. There's no way at all. They had to switch Jalen Ramsey because he couldn't make it a corner because he's too slow. And at safety, he was lost, completely lost. And it was never Minka's problem. Why Minka became the scapegoat, I have no idea. So, but it completely odd. But anyway, they've got, and to further embarrassment, they got the draft coming here.
That's right.
Go off this, that, and the other, and for their stupid streak with the coaches in 50 some odd years, 3 coaches in 57 years, that's fantastic, and that netted you 6 Super Bowls. That's great, and 8 appearances. You know what Belichick did in 18 years? 9 appearances and 6 Super Bowls. He matched you in 18 years. So their idea of this, and you can go one of 2 ways with the Steelers. You can go with a $6 to $8 million coach, or you can go with the $13 to $17 million coach. There's no way they're doing that. They're going to the 6 to the 8. And that's just the way they are. And for Art Rooney II to get up there and say, "Hey, we don't rebuild, reload, we reload." You're not that team. Once you lost your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, no, there's no reload. There's a lot of really what he should say. There's a lot of work to do, because there really is. There's a lot of work to do, and let the people know that. Don't give the fan. That's just tell the fans straight out. You got work to do. You might have a little pain here for maybe you don't make the playoffs next year for the first time in a long time.
But here's the deal that the national media that I hope they're smart on that, but I don't think they are. What they're going to do is I don't think the Steelers have a very tough schedule next year since they won the division. Baltimore got off easy. They got to play the number ones from every number one they got to play. So once they go below 500, the national media is going to say, "Oh, look what you got to do." They're just that stupid and that brainwashed about Tomlin. They really are. He is a good coach. He's not a great coach. I'm just sorry he's not. I listened to James Harrison, who says the same thing. He said he's a gimmick guy. Terry Bradshaw said he's a cheerleader. Other players come out. I mean, he had all those players. Rodgers was a marketing tool, selling false hope for cash. They tried with Wilson Fields and Trubisky before him. Excellent point. That's an excellent point. Who's that? That's Steelers freak. All true comments. The Steelers are 20 years behind. It's a fact. They just are. They're trying to play in a world that does not exist anymore. In 2000, that's what they did with Trent Dilfer, right?
Right.
It followed it up in 2004 with Brad Johnson and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. You can't win that way any longer.
Right.
All right, folks. Enough of that nonsense because that's in the past. Let's move to the present. The divisional round. All right. Yeah. So first game we're going to talk about the Bills and the Broncos. John, you're going to start our first. The line is Denver with as a home favorite, 1.5 point, which is basically a pick 'em. Who do you think wins that game?
If Allen is okay, which he is, I'm going to go with Buffalo to win the game. I don't know why. I don't know why I go with Denver in this. I honestly, I think Harrison's out, Poyer's out. I know that I just came out today. I'm going to go with Buffalo. Yeah, they lost that too. I don't even know if it matters. They're not even good. Those receivers aren't good. I'm going to So it doesn't matter. They're all interchangeable. They're nothing. Maybe if Coleman gets his head out of his butt and he can do something, and because he is a little dynamic, kind of, he can jump. And as long as Kincaid's healthy and they run the ball, they'll leave Denver with a win. And Allen probably wills them to victory if he stays healthy. Not quite sure about Denver. I'm still not. And I know that's terrible to say. I'm still not sold. But maybe I will be after this week.
So I'm picking for Billy, and I'm channeling Billy right now. He would say the Bills because Billy is not a believer in Bo Nix. Bo Nix for me, as well as Billy, too inconsistent, too up and down. If he was more like a steady Eddie, where he just has too many swings, right? And you can't win that way with too many swings.
Right.
So Bill goes with the Bills outright. All right, here we go. Bill's going to pick first, 49ers and Seahawks. 7 points. It was 7.5 earlier. It's come down a little bit. The 49ers have an extremely talented defense coordinator in Robert Salah. They have the man at the top of the tree with Shanahan, who produced everybody, damn near everybody who's coaching now. He's at the top of the tree. That offense in San Francisco is a true plug and play. He makes any quarterback look better. The way that offense is designed, he just makes everybody look better. 7 is a huge number, but I'm going to take the 49ers and the points where Billy is. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I am also going to take the 49ers and the points. I'm not going to think I don't think they'll win. This Darnold thing really bothers me a little bit. I know it's very strange, and the way he set his back and he tweaked it and all this stuff, and the way he talked, and Drew Lock taking first team reps today. Yeah. San Francisco, I can't believe he would say what he said and told everybody his back is hurting him. I'm going to go with the 49ers plus the points.
There you go. All right, we move on to Sunday. Sunday. The Texans and the Patriots. The Patriots are a 3-point favorite, over under 40.5. The Texans defense is for real. They are for real. I think New England runs the ball very well, right? So I think if New England is able to establish the run, I think New England wins going away because they're not going to have Drake May's not going to be silly with the ball, right? He's going to utilize his legs. And I would take, or Billy, I'm sorry, Billy's going to take the Patriots outright to win. Because I'm with you. C.J. Stroud fumbled the ball 4 times, threw 2 interceptions. I mean, the Steelers are just that bad. He attempted to give them the game. I mean, he lost. So, but I'm taking, Billy's taking the Patriots.
And I'm doing that too, just for all the same reasons. Houston just doesn't have an offense. They really need to get one next year to be at least a little, because that defense is ready to win.
What the biggest complaint I had about CJ is he refused to run. The play when they had the opening drive of the second half, when they had getting the ball down there, he had 5 or 6 yards ahead of him. Why did he throw the ball? Why?
He did not run at Ohio State. I remember the national championship game when he did run, and he had a huge. And I was stunned. I'm like, holy shit, he ran! I hadn't seen that all year. I always wondered why he didn't run. He won't run, and
But there's nobody around him. That's an excuse.
I know.
That's why they scare me. I mean, nobody around. Nobody. He could have picked up almost the first down, or he could have ran out of bounds. I don't know why D'Amico Ryans, who's a great coach, I don't know why he doesn't sit him down and say, hey, kid, we got a Super Bowl defense, buddy. You do not turn that ball over at all. You cannot do that against the Patriots. It's not going to happen.
He looks awfully confused all the time. I have to go with the Patriots.
Yeah.
Easy. Might be easy for him. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. And the nightcap, we have the Los Angeles Rams going to Chicago, where I think the actual temperature is like 1 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be cold. We just learned that Matthew Stafford 1-9 in games under 40 degrees. You go first. Who do you got? Rams by 3.5. By the way.
Probably the clock should strike 12 on the Bears, but if they make some turnover, if they happen to get extra possessions by turn, which they had fumbles against Green Bay, they just couldn't fall on them this time. They let them go against the Packers. And I know and I'll say this about the Rams: their special teams stink. They're really bad. They're not good. The Bears have been pretty good there. Bears offense isn't bad. The Rams are the better team. I'm going with the Bears. Give me the points in the Bears just because I can. I got the Bears hat on, for Christ's sake. I'm going with the points in the Bears, and I think they're not going to get blown out. Let's put that. It'll be a good game. I don't see them playing in the first half like they did You know what scares me though? Who the hell's gonna cover Puka? If Jalen Johnson's still not feeling right and Gordon's still jacked up, oh my God! I hope it's 42-38 or something.
Yeah, Bill thinks as I'm channeling Bill. I think that the Bears just have started slow all year. If they don't, and I don't know if you can fix that in a week. It's not going to be 21-3. It could likely be like, 35-3. If they're able to start and maintain it and try to contain the number one passing offense and the number one overall offense, the number one scoring team. I mean, number one yards. They have all this stuff going for them in LA. The cold is going to be a problem. The crowd's going to be a problem because it was electric last game. I 3.5. I mean, I think the Rams should win, right? Because I think they're the better team, more balanced. But you just never know when you go into Chicago. But I'm going to take the Rams outright because I just think that the defensive backfield is not going to be able to handle either receiver, Devontae or Puka. Because Puka's something. The guy has some kryptonite somewhere. I don't know where he hides it. I don't know if it's in his shoe, his pad, but the guy is just incredible.
Well, it is scary because if Romeo Doubs can get 127 yards receiving, it is a scary thought of what could happen here. It needs to be very windy and cold and just, I don't know, and turnovers. That's what you got to have if you're a Bears fan. You need turnovers. You need some wacky scores. You need some weird things to happen. And
you got to make sure they start. If they
start on time.
Yeah. Which is weird because, and I'm like you, I always knew Caleb could play. It's just the fact that you have to be able to deal with his idiosyncrasies. And who the F cares?
Right.
I don't care if you paint your hair, do whatever the hell you want as long as you win. Who cares? Even if you lose, who cares about all that stuff? The kid looks rejuvenated. He looks like he's having fun. Looks like he wants to play. And he is no joke, man. Don't mess up around him, right? He's no joke.
No,
he's giving it to people, which is good. That's what he should do.
Yeah.
And he gets that from Ben Johnson. I guess Ben Johnson in the beginning, training camp was just bullied him.
Mm-hmm.
He bullied him every practice. He bullied him, and said, "No, not good enough, dude." Again, no, not good enough, dude. And put it into his head, and you could tell the difference. You really can. That fourth down play, come on. I mean,
right.
How many people are making that throw? How many? Other than how many are making that? We missed some stuff. All right, we got to go over these. So Steel City Sunday. That's John Phillips. He takes Chicago. Spitball in Sports. Who's that for you? Is that your wife?
No.
Chicago. Choke job for C.J. Stroud. 49ers says Steelers Freak. 49ers says Steel City Sunday. That's John. Spitball in Sports, 49ers. Seahawks are like the Texans. Anacondas on D's with suspect quarterbacks. Yeah, that's true. There's no doubt about that. It's a Wrap Sports, Chicago. Steelers Freak, the Rams. Steelers Freak, Stafford Factor. Very good point. I like the over, and I don't even know what it is. That's I can't read that. Vegas
right.
Something. Yeah. And then what it is. But overall, I look forward to the next show where we can see who's going to the game that gets you to the game. So it'll be fascinating. I hope Chicago makes it interesting. I don't know how they're DBs because they're injured. They're hurt. And all he did, Love dropped back, and all he did was look for number 6. That's all he did.
And I'll say this. That's where you got to get pressure on the quarterback. Maybe you just can't Love sit back there. So that is the key, I guess, to the whole thing. Can Sweat actually show up for the money he's get paid and actually make a difference in the game?
Yeah, he was better. He was better in Washington.
He was way better. Yeah, he's not he's not a factor. Dominique Robinson's better. Number 90. When you see him, he's better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he changed numbers too, which was stupid. But anyway, that's what he was. All right, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy. Take the money, put it on the picks. These guys are pretty damn good, and we'll see you all next week. It'll be a blast. Lights out, Buttons.
Later.